talking to people back, when I started and now is no different. So if you're, I was at the Nova Scotia Designer Craft Council Christmas show this weekend, and talking to artisans and going, you know what, this is a really cool business. I was talking to one artisan who makes cutting boards, and she's just signed a contract with Calvin Klein to have them available in their New York store. And so I'm like, that's really cool. Like, we should get you to come in our show and tell the story, right? So that's, and she's a female. She graduated from her program locally as a carpenter. Didn't think she'd ever be making just cutting boards for a living, but it started as friends asking for them, and then decided to sell them at the market, and took off there and went to a show in New York, and somebody picked them up. So it's just one of those things that it's a really good story, and that's the nugget behind everything we do, is finding a story to tell, which means a story has a beginning, middle, and an end, and following all those. I know I keep going off track, but the tool I have now is social media. And I use social media all the time. I follow groups on Facebook, even if I'm not personally involved in them, that share interesting stories and interesting news tips. Like, I follow Black Nova Scotia News. I'm not a part of the African Nova Scotian community, clearly, but they share some really interesting things that are of interest to the African Nova Scotian community. So I happened to be following them last week, and they posted a story about a local football coach who's been named the NFL Youth Coach of the Year.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's a local guy, works with kids in the North End, and I'm like, what a great story. So, gave it, I didn't do it for the morning show, but I gave it to our 6 o'clock guys and said, it's a fantastic story, we should be doing it. And that's where that idea came from. I follow Twitter. I remember the day I was working on the morning show that Rita McNeil died, or the news that she died broke. We first saw that on Twitter, and if we hadn't been watching Twitter that morning, we may not have known for a few more hours, but seeing it I think we saw it at 4:30 in the morning.
Good Lord.
Because we come in for 4,
Yeah.
but saw it on Twitter at 4:30, the first tweet. We were able to go to our website, confirm it, tweet it at ourselves, get a web story written, and get file video in, the new kind of a voiceover, as we call it, ready for the newscasts, and then get on the phone to find local connections, and found somebody, have them in the studio before we went off the air at 9. So, if we hadn't seen it on Twitter at that time, we wouldn't have had time to get as much of that kind of stuff done. So Twitter's great for breaking news. I follow news organizations. The Herald, CBC, CTV will all tweet out news as they go along, and that's how we all keep an eye on each other and what everybody else is doing. We're following each other on Twitter. So if it's like, CBC's on, hostage taking down on, if we haven't already heard it on the scanner, which is another tool, they're at a hostage taking down on Yonge Avenue. Well, we better get down there.
Still, the scanner is a...
Oh yeah, no, we use the scanner now. Instead of having a actual scanner sitting on the
It's
desk,
probably a
we
feed,
use
isn't
it.
it?
Yeah, we use it a feed online.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we listen to the scanner all the time, and it's another great tool to hear in real time what's happening out there, and that hasn't changed, and we still use the scanner.